Thank you, Senator Courtney and distinguished members of the Regulatory Reform and Fairness Committee. My name is Greg Dugal, and I am with the Maine Innkeepers Association. I have a very good relationship with people in state government, but I've been doing this for a long time. It can be a very intimidating process for a small business owner to access the government as it stands there to assist that particular small business owner. Over time, I've sensed in my own experience a somewhat adversarial initial impact with whatever agency that you're working with. Over time, you build a dialogue, and usually, through the help of folks like yourselves, it turns out to be a pretty good experience when all is said and done. But most small business owners don't have time for all of that. We've had several issues with the DEP. I want to applaud Representative Duchesne and Senator Goodall, who's not here, for their great leadership last year in the Natural Resources Committee, and I'm sure we'll get the same from Senator Saviello, because sometimes it's very difficult to get through that morass. Obviously, a big thing for us, transparent rulemaking would make everybody's lives much easier, up to and including proper notification of interested parties. There was an issue where they were actually regulating pools at a higher level and actually did pool licenses, and they had a public hearing. The public hearing was announced 18 months ago. Well, it's not 18 months ago, but 18 months prior to when it was actually held. And there was never a subsequent notice. It was postponed a few times, and it was never told again. So about 4 people showed up to the pool hearing, and it ended up being a very costly and different kind of situation. Granted, you can throw your comments in after the fact, but it doesn't end up being the same. Another thing that I just wanted to bring up, in my opinion anyway, and I know there's been some discussion about minor technical and major substandard. I think major substandard is a very important piece of what we do. It gives people a double opportunity to weigh in on what it is that's happening. We applaud the governor for including our sand dune issue on the top of page 4. That is the Maine Innkeepers Association and, of course, Lafayette Hotels. Peter Dugal will be at your Bangor. He was going to be there yesterday, but obviously neither were you, so he will be at the next hearing. But basically what it came down to is he was trying to put an elevator to be compliant with the Americans with Disabilities Act into his hotel, and was rebuffed at almost every step. 10 years and $130,000 is what it cost Lafayette Hotels, and at the end they couldn't even comply with the ADA. They weren't trying to increase the footprint. There were suggestions made for pylons underneath it because it wasn't a sand dune. And I want to sit here and tell you right now, I can only speak for the Maine Innkeepers Association, but people in the state of Maine know how important our natural resource is. Our organization lives off of our natural resource. We couldn't even have our businesses if it wasn't for it. We would never suggest putting a hotel 10 feet from the ocean or on a sand dune. But one that exists needs to comply with laws, and hopefully that's one issue that we can sort of melt. And it was actually referred to in 3 different occasions. The other issue that I have is dimensional shoreline zoning. I haven't seen it anywhere. I'm getting a lot of pushback on that from communities. It isn't required by the DEP to do dimensional, but a lot of communities have done it at the suggestion of the DEP. That basically limits one structure to 225 feet of shorefront. And if you have multiple structures on your property already, you're already a commercial development, then you are not able to add anything additional. And I guess my last thing, because I know you got a lot of people to hear from, I had an issue with Revenue Services 2 or 3 years back. A gentleman who owned a small property, he was audited. He had an issue with lodging tax on service charges, because if you don't give all of the service charge to your employees, you're supposed to charge lodging tax on it. He claimed that he did. I don't think his accounting procedures are really that good, so he ended up being pretty bad on that. The other issue that he had was lodging tax on, canceled advance deposits. We actually put a bill in after the fact to try to rectify that issue, but the Bureau of Revenue Services decided that because advanced canceled deposits weren't called out anywhere in statute, that they were going to start taxing them as a piece of interpretation. And so they basically not only taxed this individual, but assessed them to 6 years back. So we ended up paying thousands of dollars to the Revenue Services Department. It took them like 3 or 4 years to resolve the issue. Some of our members actually chipped in for his legal defense. We gave him free membership because he literally almost went out of business. Unfortunately, the gentleman passed away last year, or I would love to have had him come here to tell you the story, because it was a gut-wrenching situation for him, and certainly it was for us as well. So again, there's lots of people that need to speak, so I'll take my time.
Thank you.